Hello friends, welcome to a Q&A. I asked for questions last week and I have them here on my phone. So let's go through them. One thing before I begin though, I'm about to start a new project that has a bunch of videos kind of already planned for it. It's all about vacation and doing photography during vacation. I did talk more about this in this week's Member Monday, so if you're a member, check out Member Monday so that you can find out more about this project. And if you aren't a member, there's a join button down below, or if you don't see that, there is a link in the description of this video where you can learn more about becoming a member. Let's start with the questions. Number one is from Highlander319, who says, what are your thoughts/impressions on Fuji as far as hiking and travel type work? Want to get into mirrorless, thought about a 7 III or even a 6400, but I'm one of those that like the Sonys for features but not feel, and does feel like a computer more than just a camera. The Z6 looks great and I love my Nikon, but I only have the 24-105, so it's not like I'm locked down on glass and I don't need full frame. Considering looking at X-T3, was always used to all the buttons or all the dials and more manual type settings from way back in the day with my film Nikon. Any advice? Thanks. I think Fuji's great. I think that there are no poor choices on the market today. They're all great. I think it really depends on your personal style and how you like to shoot, especially when you're talking about hiking and traveling. You want something that is easy for you to pick up and use. If Sony isn't easy for you to pick up and use, I get that. That's how I was before I was actually able to use one for like a full month before I really got comfortable with it. Yeah. However, if you are curious, I would say take a look at them in a shop. Play around with them, see what you think. If you're still not sure, see if maybe you can rent one for a week or so and actually use it and see if you like it before you make the investment. Next question is from Back to Leigh. I recently spent 6 months traveling around Asia with my camera. I'm jealous. I took thousands of photos, some of which I have sold on stock sites. Now that I am back home in Europe, I just can't find any motivation to get off the sofa and take photos anymore. Any suggestions other than going back to Asia, which I hope to do later this year? Thanks much. Well, you're not going to find motivation sitting on the couch, that's for sure. And I can only speak from my own personal experience here, but I know that if I need motivation or inspiration, I have to go find it. This is my job, coming up with new ideas for videos and for photo shoots. So I know the few things that I can do to get my motor running. I know that if I'm working out regularly, my brain's going to be working better. And I know that if I go to a museum of any kind, if I go out into the desert, out into the forest, out into anywhere outside, I will typically spark some sort of creativity. So yeah, that's what works for me. Oh, or sometimes doing something different, something artistic, but not photography, like painting or even using some crayons and a piece of paper. Sometimes something like that will also kind of spark some creativity. Next question is from Nello. Hikers seem to be very fit, which you are. So my question, how often do you go hiking? Honestly, not very often right now. It just depends on what time of year it is, what I'm in the mood for. Right now I'm running a lot rather than hiking, but typically I do something every day, even if that's just like doing some yoga and stretching or something. Next question is from Mario. How do you deliver to your clients, e.g. Pixie Set? Do you use a customer management system? Good question. I may not be the very best person to answer this, so I am going to share with you what I do and why I may not be the best person, but then I want to open it up to all of you other viewers out there. So I don't take very many straight photography jobs anymore. My job is to make up my own projects and share them as Snapchick. When I do take the occasional job, I share the results on Dropbox. I never used a customer management system though. So that's what I want to ask everybody out there. For those of you that do take a lot of jobs, do you use any kind of management system? And how do you deliver your photos or videos to your clients? Let's let Mario know down in the comments. Sunny says, hi there, Snapchick. I really appreciate your channel. Thank you, Sunny. I appreciate you as a viewer. What are your go-to settings on your Nikon V1? What are your thoughts on it as a street photography camera when fitted with the 10.5mm lens? Love it. Think it's a great street photography camera. I've used it all over the place myself. Go-to settings, aperture priority, auto ISO. Greg says, if Ken Rockwell is the Chuck Norris of photography and Ted Forbes is the Dr. Watson of photography, what living legend represents Snapchick? Okay, so when I saw this question come in, I was like, that's funny. But then I got to thinking about it later on, and I got nothing. I got nothing for you. I just don't. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Oh, he also says, love your latest book. Congrats, Snapchick, our photographic temple of pure thought. Thank you for that compliment. And Greg is talking about our book from Yellowstone in the winter, and I'll put a link to that down below if you're curious about it. Carl says, what Nikon lens for your DX or FX cameras is always your go-to lens? I don't have one. I don't have a go-to lens for anything because I do all sorts of different things and I have lots of gear and I like to use all of my gear. But if I'm being lazy, I'm going to go with like a mid-range zoom or maybe a 35mm prime. Joseph says, what did you both do career-wise before Snapchick? I will let Raymond answer that elsewhere, but I have done all kinds of things. I was a photographer. I've been a full-time photographer and a side hustle photographer, working various office jobs. At the time that I started Snapchick, I worked in finance full-time and just did photography on the side. So yeah, that's what I did. David asks, what do you see as the top APS-C camera in the Nikon lineup these days? Is it still the D500, and do you see replacement for it in 2019, 2020? It's been out 3 years now. Still love mine, but both are getting long in the shutter clicks and need to get another one or the replacement / updated one when it comes out, if it comes out soon. Dislike the newer APS-Cs that only have one card slot and use slower SD cards. I shoot mostly action, zoo animals, and airplanes. Well, I think if you're going with action type stuff, the D500 is going to be the best cropped sensor body when you're talking about Nikon. I still think it's a great body. As for if it's going to be replaced soon, I have no idea. I have no idea where Nikon or Canon really is going to go with their various lines of DSLRs. Now that both of them have jumped into mirrorless, I have no idea. Are they going to keep going with the DSLRs with, there's so many shades of gray within the DSLRs that they have out that I just don't know. The next question is from Jordan. Do you think it's worth going from a DSLR to mirrorless, say for example, 5D Mark III to Sony A7R III? What are your thoughts on mirrorless versus DSLR? I think it depends on the person if it's worth it or not. For me, it was worth it because I wanted one camera to do both photo and video, and I wanted the video to have good, quiet autofocus, continuous autofocus during filming with face detect. So for me, moving to the Z series was worth it. Next question is from Vicious Terranex. I am looking to do some photography, something to earn a living from maybe, but my question is what would be a reasonable price to ask for when doing a session? I am looking towards weddings, confirmands, etc. If you're looking to do some photography, I'm guessing that means that you don't do photography right now. And that leads me to say that charging anything would be probably inappropriate. But if you are a photographer, let me tell you how I would figure out what to charge, because I have no idea where you are. Different geographical locations are going to have different reasonable prices. What I suggest is checking out what other photographers in your area are charging. And if you are looking to gain experience, possibly starting out by just volunteering to assist an established photographer for free, just to start out, to see what they're doing and to kind of figure out, what they're charging and what maybe will make sense for you, is the way to go. Next question is from Brian. What makes Nikon so interesting to you? As opposed to anything else, I have a big collection of Nikon lenses, so that's why I keep such a close eye on Nikon. Otherwise, there's nothing about Nikon in particular that interests me more than anything else at this point. Tim asks, when are you coming to Florida so that we can shoot? Well, I'm not. At least right now, I have no plans to go to Florida. You can shoot with me on the tour in Yellowknife. It's an astrophotography tour all about the Aurora Borealis, and we will be learning from Jose Francisco Salgado. I will put a link to that down in the description below. Next question is from Paul. Do you think it is better to improve your photo skills on an old limited DSLR or on a new top-line camera? And is there a difference if you are a beginner and pro? I don't think either one is better. And is there a difference if you're a beginner and pro when you're wanting to improve your photo skills? No, I don't think there's any kind of difference. I think use what you can get your hands on and develop your own personal style and learn the basics, whatever you can get your hands on. Next question is from Lalo. Were you nervous when you first started your YouTube channel? You seem so confident in your videos. That is a very nice compliment. Thank you very much. I was not confident in the beginning. This is something that has developed, and while I'm definitely more confident than I was, I still totally fake it every time I turn on the camera. But was I nervous when I first started my YouTube channel? No, because this was almost 10 years ago. I had a full-time job. This was just something that I was doing for fun because I wanted to share some knowledge because it wasn't available when I was learning. So yeah, I wasn't nervous because I didn't have any expectations whatsoever. Next question is from Panda Express 993. Okay. What is the best way to begin making money with photography? This is going to depend on what type of photography you're talking about. A lot of folks out there I know want to shoot things like weddings and events and portraits. So kind of what I mentioned to who else I was talking about, Vicious Tyrannex, volunteering to help an established photographer in your area that's doing what it is that you want to do. Kind of learn the ropes, figure out, what it is that they're doing, not so that you can steal their thunder or their ideas, but so that you can kind of get an idea of what's going on, what they're charging, things like that. That's what I did when I first started, and I don't think I ever walked away from a job empty-handed. I was gaining a ton of knowledge, but I think I always got paid a little something, so I think that's a good way to get started. Next question is from Len. Buy the Nikkor 50mm 1.8S or wait for the Nikkor 50mm 1.2S for Nikon Z mount. How useful is the slight difference between f1.8 and f1.2 for portrait photography? Okay. Well, I am just like you. I have no idea what this 50mm f1.2 lens will be like. I would say, for me, I wouldn't wait for a couple of reasons. One, I have the 35mm f1.8S lens, and it's great. I love it. It's a great quality lens. I would assume that the 50mm is of similar quality, and I would get great photos with it. Reason number two that I wouldn't wait is the difference between f1.8 and f1.2 for portraits on a 50mm lens is 0 for me. There's no difference because I would never use f1.2. I shouldn't say never because you never know what's going to happen, but I wouldn't use f1.2 on a 50mm lens for a portrait. I probably wouldn't use f1.8 on a 50mm lens for a portrait. So at least not usually. So I would say that I wouldn't wait myself. Next question is from Random Life. What do you really think of GoPro photography? Oh, I think the GoPro is great. I have the Hero 7 Black and I tried to use it earlier today to film this outside. It started snowing and it was really windy, so that didn't work out, but I think it's great. Next question is from Nikal. Do you still use your D300S? My favorite camera. I love the D300S. It is one of my favorite all-time cameras. I sold mine recently. So there's that. I just didn't use it anymore with the D500 and the mirrorless cameras that I have. I just got rid of it. It was tough though. Next question is from Papazafiropoulos PhD. Let me know how I did there. How long have you been married? Almost 10 years. Phil asks, are you still vegan? Yes, always and forever. Bruce asks, strobe or continuous lighting for portraits? It depends on what my goal is, but in general, I love using continuous lighting. It's so much more simple and it allows me to have more rapport. It allows me to develop more of a rapport with my subject or my model, I feel like, because I'm not messing around with the strobes. The strobes aren't strobing, you know, it's just everything seems a little more calm. So yeah, continuous lighting if I can. Next question is from Nemesis Storm 13. Hi Snapcheck, my question is, do you think night photography is still alive and well? Yes. I don't know if you mean like just nighttime street photography or astrophotography, but either way, yes. In fact, I mentioned the astrophotography tour in Yellowknife. Yeah, I'm doing that. So I hope it's still alive and well. Next question is from Cliff. What is your favorite picture you have taken? Like me, I'm sure picking just one is near impossible, as different situations and subjects have unique favorites. So I leave it up to you to pick the subject and its associated favorite. Thanks for sharing your photographer's life with us. Yeah, there's not one photo that I can say is my favorite. I would say recently I did have a moment of kind of clarity when taking some photos, and there was one in particular where things kind of clicked for me. I was at the Grand Canyon. It was a beautiful sunset. I took a photo, looked at it, and it was then that I kind of had the realization that I don't care what camera is in my hands. I'm going to be able to take great photos no matter where I am because of my passion for photography rather than just the gear that I'm using. Andrew asks, I'm headed to Grand Canyon on Sunday. Any favorite spots to take photos besides the traditional? Ah, coincidental. I was just talking about the Grand Canyon and you will have already gone there. So sorry about that, but favorite spots to take photos. You know what I like is going to the viewpoints and going away from the viewpoints on foot, if that makes sense. So the viewpoints are going to be crowded, especially this time of year. If you walk away from them a little bit along the rim, you'll get some solitude and also still some wonderful views. Sometimes even I feel like better than at the viewpoints. Oh, and that was my last question. Other than several marriage proposals, which thanks, but no thanks. I'm married. But I have no more questions today. I will be answering a viewer question in a video on Friday. It is the first video in the new project that I was talking about with traveling and photography and vacations and things like that. So make sure that you are subscribed and click the bell if you would like to receive notifications of when my videos come out. And That's it, everybody. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.